Alright guys, so very recently I scored what's in my mind a really cool vise. It's this large Wilton thing. It weighs close to 200 pounds. It's probably like out of the, I believe, the 1970s sometime from the production date. And I really like this vise. I wanted to show it some love for the first time since, I don't know, someone was president, and get it mounted securely onto this workbench so we can actually use it. So that's what we did. We got all the paint off of this thing. Believe it or not, Seth was able to access all of this just with a wire wheel on an angle grinder, which I didn't think was possible, but he made it happen. So all the paint was gone. I hit it with some rusty metal primer, and I gave it some of this hammer tone finish stuff. It's still drying, it's a little tacky, don't want to touch it, but I really like the way this came out, and so now we have to set it up so we can actually make use of this. So you'll see on this vise, my homemade one, the way I've got this set up, it's actually attached to a piece of square tube which is going into a hitch receiver on the bottom of the table. And so what I want to do is with this, we're basically just going to install this part of a hitch receiver. You can buy these just by themselves. They're great for projects like this because they've got lots of applications beyond hitches. We're going to install this on this leg of the table. We're going to make some gussets and probably brace it somehow as necessary. Then we're going to make a platform for the vise to sit on top of this hitch doobly-doo. We'll shove it in there and should be pretty cool. There's a lot of things which we all know you're not really supposed to weld through, but if you make weld through some mill scale or stick weld through a light coat of paint, on most things, non-critical things, it's not really a big deal. This powder coat stuff, however, that's one to remove. So this is really starting to come together. We're just going to put our receiver tube here, and what will soon be our vise thing here. Sometimes people ask, well, why would you use vertical down MIG on this instead of vertical up? Well, because no matter how I weld this, the tube on this is still only an 1/8 inch thick, this vertical section. So pretty much anything, if it's properly done, it's good enough for material this thin. Alright, it's in. See if I can reach in here. I think it's all in. That was easier than I thought. One last test fit. Make sure this lines up before we weld it on. Had to learn that lesson the hard way. Both are all in the right places. We're in business. How about that, YouTube? It's a great working height, you know, you can put something in here, it's close enough to eye level to see what you're doing, but, you know, low enough it's not awkward, at least for me. It's on here, it's really solid. There's just a tiny bit of play in the hitch receiver itself, just like putting the ball hitch in the back of your truck, it does wiggle a little bit. But once you're past that wiggle, it is friggin' solid. And I love it. Cool. So the paint's pretty much dry. We gave it some nice hammer tone finish paint. So I think it looks pretty cool, personally. And once it gets used and the paint gets torn up, it'll look even cooler. Thanks for watching, guys. This was, I really enjoyed this. I hope you did too. I have the vise I've always wanted now.